rabbit sticker. It seemed that after having given up work last year, her silly side had finally returned. "If you're sure, then would you bring me some butter if you can find it? There's a shortage this winter, and I can't get my hands on any. But if you can't, it really doesn't matter. I'd rather you got here quickly." The dairy section was bathed in a placid yellow light. On the bottom rack was an empty space about 5 shelves wide, with a notice taped in place. Due to product shortages, supplies of butter are limited to 1 item per customer. Rika had been to 3 supermarkets now, and in each one it had been the same story. Resigning herself to the reality of the situation, Rika picked up the richest, butteriest-looking margarine variety from the selection and quickly made her way to the cash registers. Reiko's new house lay a 5-minute walk from the station on a gently sloping hill. The 3-story property, indistinguishable from those around it, had been designed to maximize space on the plot of land, no more than 100 square meters in size. The Toyota fitted so neatly into the parking space, it looked as though it had been made to measure. Alongside the front door was a line of planters with daisies, violas, and other kinds of flowers, while on the door hung an ivy wreath. This clear expression of Reiko's personality reassured Rika. Pushing the button to the intercom, she found herself exhaling in relief. "Rika, you're here! Wow, how long has it been?" No sooner was the door opened than Reiko had bolted out in her apron and was hugging her. Rika returned the embrace, wrapping her arms around Reiko's slender shoulders. At 5'5" in height, Rika was significantly taller than petite, delicate Reiko, and when she hugged her, could encircle her fully with her long arms. The violet-like aroma that was Reiko's signature scent rose up from her hair. Rika felt her eyes growing hot. Perhaps, she thought, perhaps without realizing it, I've been starved of these expressions of affection, of the warmth of another human body. The intensity of the greeting wasn't for show either. The 2 friends had spent practically every day in each other's company at university, but they were well into adulthood now, and 6 months had passed since they'd last seen one another. Even after Reiko had given up her job, the busy nature of Rika's work made it hard to find time to meet. In theory, Rika had Tuesday and Wednesday to herself each week, but she didn't know any of her colleagues who actually managed to take proper days off, except for maybe Kitamura, a junior member of staff. Today was a Wednesday, but she'd had a meeting with a columnist earlier, and after finishing up at Reiko's, she planned to go back to the office to do some research. Rika could make out the aroma of dashi and melted cheese emanating from inside Reiko's house, fusing with that scent of fresh wood characteristic of new builds. Putting on the warm fabric house slippers that her friend laid out for her, allowing her trench coat to be hung up, she moved down the shiny, immaculate parquet flooring of the hall towards a room illuminated by a lambent orange light. The living room that led onto the kitchen was a very average sort of space, but thanks to the Liberty print sofas and curtains, the dresser and bookshelves of antique dark wood, and the collages on the wall by an artist Rika didn't know, it had the feel of a cozy attic room. In fact, it reminded Rika of the apartment in Oyamadai, where Reiko had previously lived by herself. Rika rinsed her mouth and washed her hands at the bathroom sink, then wiped off her hands on one of the numerous fluffy hand towels that lay piled in a basket. Catching the delicate fragrance of fabric softener on the towels, Rika resolved to ask Reiko what brand she used, although it wasn't the sort of thing that she'd usually notice. "I'm really sorry, Day. Not only am I late, but all I could find was this." Rika took out of the supermarket bag the offending item, a packet labelled margarine made with 50% butter, and held it out sheepishly to her friend. "Amazing, thank you," Reiko smiled and moved to the fridge to put the margarine away. If she were being honest, Rika couldn't really tell the difference between butter and margarine. "I went round and round all the supermarkets here, but there was no butter to be found." "It's like in the story of little Babaji, going round and ending up as butter." Giggling to herself, Reiko skipped back to where Rika stood in the living room, where she pulled an illustrated book off the shelf and held it out triumphantly.